Okay, so I accidentally recorded the last segment in full screen. Here I'm getting buffed by someone. And I'm going to thank him. And now I need to memorize my new spells. And I'm really happy because I've got the old out of character chat. It's great. Got the old icons here. So I've already got Shell Breath in 3. This is kind of a good time, usually when I get new spells, especially when I'm starting to get my first ones, to kind of get a feel for how I want to use my spell slots. You can see I didn't just throw these into 1 and 2. I threw them into where I kind of wanted them to be, assuming I would get different types of spells in the future. Once you know the different types of spells that there are, things like debuffs, buffs, self-target spells, target spells, emergency spells, heals, etc., you kind of start using your spell buff locations or your spell gem locations a little bit more economically, and you realize that as you're soloing, you get used to using certain keys. So if you get a new spell type and you suddenly move around all your spells, you're going to end up hitting the wrong button on accident. There's a couple ways around it, depending on how you want to mess with the interface, but I still usually like to kind of stick as much as possible to what I start with. So you can see that I put my minor shielding spell, something that I won't have to use that often, kind of down towards the bottom, but within something accessible, 6 on my keyboard, and then my Shell Breath is 3, which is really easy to Alt 3 to cast. But now we've got Weaken, which is a debuff. This is something I'm going to be casting frequently on opponents. I could even cast it as a pull spell, but I'm probably going to put this into my 2 slot, and that's so that it's right next to my other debuff that I'm going to be using. Strengthen, which is a buff, is something that I really only have to do occasionally. It lasts 27 minutes, so I almost rarely have to cast it. I'm going to put it kind of out of the way in a spot that's not very convenient for my hands to reach. Something that I only cast occasionally and will easily be taken out once I actually need that for something all the time. Lull, I probably won't ever use, especially at this level, but this is if you're trying to pull creatures that are next to each other. As far as I remember, it's for pulling creatures that are next to each other, and that they would normally both come at you, but this way only one of them comes at you. So I'm going to throw that down here as well. Minor Illusion, I don't really need to have on my spells at all. Pendrill's Animation, another one that I only have to cast occasionally, but probably more occasionally than my buffs, because this one can die. Oh, I forgot to get Tiny Daggers. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Taper Enchantment, I'll probably never really use that. But I'll put it on there anyway, just to try it out, see if I can actually do anything to anything. And finally, Minor Illusion. I'm going to memorize it once, just to try it out, and then I'll take it out of there. And that's going to be all my level 1 spells that I'm able to buy here. So first, let's go try my Illusion. Something to signify my name. And I'm a fire pot. Huh. Cool. Let's try it again. Strange. I believe the way it works, it just turns you into something random from the zone. maybe it's something nearby from the zone. There's gotta be something in the zone other than a fire pot. Huh. I guess not. Strange. Okay. Well, I have to go buy some tiny daggers, and then I can try casting my next spell. Well, as it turns out, tiny daggers were all the way back in my guild area, so I had to go buy them there, and I'm now down to, after purchasing food and water, and getting that backpack originally, a bunch of tiny daggers, a couple bandages, I'm down to 3 gold, and on my spells, so next level, I gotta make about 3.5 platinum to get all my spells. I have a feeling, probably not gonna have my spells until maybe 6 or 7. But anyway, so I'm gonna cast Pendrill's animation. That requires a tiny dagger. I believe it's an invisible walking little helper. Yep, and it just walks around and follows me and helps me kill stuff. And I don't think I can control it at all. It just kind of does its thing. Let's see how long my strength buff lasts. Now, if you'll notice, Strengthen is a red-backed icon. That means that it can be targeted at other players. The yellow-backed icons means that they're self-only. So I theoretically should be able to buff the strength of my pet. Yep. I'll do the same to myself. Cool. That's quite the spell effect for level 2. And let's see, what else do I need? Might as well buff up my minor shielding again. There we go. I've got increased strength and shielding. My strength means that I'm well within my carrying limit. And, alright, I'm gonna go out and try and find some new and a bit harder things to kill to make level 4. So let's see what we can find here. Now, pixies actually have faction to them, which I realized recently. They're level they're on a faction, and if I kill enough of them, I think it would make it so that they would just attack me on sight, kind of like this orc pawn would. So I don't want to kill any more pixies at the moment, because there are some high-level ones that wander around, and I don't want them to attack me. And that's kind of the cool thing about EverQuest, is some things have factions, just like these guys too. And what you can do is you can often kill something, or kill the opposite of something, to change your faction around to become friendly in areas that you otherwise started out unfriendly in. It's a really, really neat thing that I think a lot of games don't really do very well anymore. Sometimes it's really hard to do. You have to kill quite a bit. But here's an example. Faction Sin Crushman Orcs has gotten worse. So my faction is so bad with the Orcs, and it starts this way, that they'll attack me on sight. Now, Emerald Warriors, Fate Arc Champions, Indigo Brotherhood, and Stormguard, these are all affected as well. Warriors, Champions, and Stormguard, these are all positive factions. Indigo Brotherhood is a faction, I believe, with Dark Elves, if I remember correctly. And by that getting worse, it makes it even harder for me to, say, get my faction up with Dark Elves better. In fact, if I remember correctly, there's potentially a way to even get it where people can get so that Crushman Orcs don't attack them on sight, so they could safely go into the Crushman Orc area. But it probably takes quite a lot of kills to do that. And a cracked staff. Alright, that's a platinum right there. That's huge. I'm going to keep my eye out for anything wielding a big staff from now on. Will-O-Wisp, still red, so those are definitely not level 4. Probably are 7 or 8 like I was thinking before.